This here is the all-new Tata Hexa, and this car is essentially the company's new flagship car, which offers you the choice of 6 or 7 seats as well as off-roading capabilities. So if you are someone who transports 6 or 7 people on a regular basis, should you check this car out? We'll find out on the show today. Well, so here I'm inside the cabin of the new Tata Hexa, and the first thing you will notice is the brilliant quality of plastics. Everything really does feel very well bolted together, and especially the top of the dashboard as well as the top of the door pad here uses very soft plastics, and really goes to show you the amount of progress that Tata Motors has made over the years when it comes to cabin ambience as well as overall quality. Well, not only is the perceived quality on the top of the dashboard very good, even the lower end of the dashboard, where people don't really pay too much attention to, is pretty good, and everything really does, as I just mentioned, feels very well bolted together. It feels like it will age well, and I have to say that the Hexa really does offer the best interiors. Well, not only is the cabin very well made, the seats also are very comfortable. The support for the lower back is excellent. There's a lot of side bolstering, and the cushioning is very generous as well. And that, along with the typical high-set seats of an SUV, along with this huge glass area, means that you really get a very commanding view of the road ahead, and you can actually look down on other puny hatchbacks and really feel like you've built a lot of muscle. Well, now because this is an SUV, it has to offer you great amounts of practicality, and the Hexa does not disappoint. You get this huge box over here where you can keep your cell phone, your wallet as well as your sunglasses, and you also get one cup holder over here where I have kept my cell phone at the moment. And you also get big door bins, which can generally house those big 1-liter bottles from your home. Well, one area where Tata Motors really is advancing in a very intense way is the features and options list, and this car really does come loaded with a lot of tech. And just like the Bolt and Zest, you get a very similar looking touchscreen system over here. Well, the Harman system over here is complemented by JBL speakers across the car, and what that means is that the sound quality is absolutely brilliant and probably one of the best on any SUV in India at the moment. And if you are someone who likes to control the stereo from the back seat, then all you need to do is download a few apps, and you can control and change the settings as well as the song on the stereo from even the last row of seats. And to know more about the features as well as the apps, you should head out to our website by clicking on this link over here and figuring them out for yourself, because it really is a very exhaustive list. Well, so here I'm in the back seat of the Tata Hexa, and remember, this car comes with a choice of a 6-seater or a 7-seater option. Now, this one, of course, is the 7-seater. The 6-seater option comes with captain seats over here at the back, and we'll just show that to you in a moment. But right now we are in the 7-seater, and as you can see, knee room is more than adequate, even for someone who is my height, which for reference is 5'10", and I have adjusted the front seat as always for my driving position, and I even have place below the front seats where I can stretch my feet. So Tata Motors has done an excellent job in terms of packaging. Well, but before you think that I'm showing you so much knee room with the seats completely at the back, I will slide them forward all the way up and show you that even then there is generous amounts of knee room over here. So space and comfort should not be a problem for anyone who's sitting here in the second row of seats. And the other good point is that the floor panel here is very flattish, which means that there's plenty of place for anyone who's going to sit over here, and even the footwells are pretty wide, so you can really sit very comfortably here with your legs stretched, and there shouldn't be too much of an issue because it is a very wide car, so sitting 3 should not be an issue at all. And what also makes the second row a great place for 3 occupants is the fact that you get not 2 but 4 AC vents over here. You get 2 over here in the center, and you also get individual AC vents over here in the pillars, which means that people who are sitting here in the corner will get a very solid thoroughfare as well. Now, Tata Motors has really done a fantastic job in terms of comfort as well as luxury. Yes, the second row with the captain seats really feels very luxurious and does feel very upmarket as well as posh. And along with the Toyota Innova Crysta, I have to say that the Hexa second row and these captain seats are the best in the business across any price point and across segments. Well, and why do I say that? Well, because these seats offer you great support. They really feel like you are sitting at your home in a big and luxurious sofa, and the support for the lower back is excellent. The seat scob is very well cushioned, and it's pretty long as well as wide, which means that even the heaviest of heaviest passengers will feel very comfortable in it. And what you also get are these nice bolsters on the side, which means that if your driver does decide to push the car going into those hilly sections, you will be held very well and very snugly in these seats So an excellent job by Tata Motors in terms of comfort as well as luxury. What you can also do if you are going on a long trip is that you can buy the top end version of the car, which also comes with these sun blinds, and all you need to do is just place them here and simply go off to sleep in these hugely comfortable seats. Well, so here I'm in the last row of the Hexa seats, and I have moved this seat all the way forward, and even then I have just about adequate room. I'm just sitting with my knee brushing up against the back rest of this seat over here. So what that means is that if you are around 5'9" or 5'10" or taller than that, then this is not the ideal place. But if you are about 5'6" or 5'5", then these seats should be okay over those long distances. But yes, anyone who is over that height will not really enjoy themselves over here. So good seats for kids as well as for young adults, but not for someone, as just mentioned, who is over 5'6". Well, so with all the rows up, the Hexa offers you 129 liters of luggage carrying capacity, and it's pretty decent. But the good part is that it's a well-shaped boot. It's a very rectangular shaped boot, which means that you can load in those big boxes without too many issues. The only issue is that it is a very high car, and that means that the sill is pretty high, so you will have to put your back into loading this boot. But the good point is there's no loading lip. It's really flat, which means you can just slide in and slide out those heavy objects. But of course, if you're not using the last row of seats, you can always flip them down by simply pulling these little tags over here, and you get a very nice and flat loading area. So if you are using it as a 4 or 5 seater, you get a very spacious boot, which is good enough to actually shift your entire home in. Well, so here I'm driving the all-new Tata Hexa, and this car, remember, comes with a 2.2-litre diesel engine, and there's no petrol option on sale. And this engine makes about 156 bhp of power as well as 400 Nm of torque. And the torque figures are the best on any SUV available in India at the moment at this price point. Now, this car comes with the choice of 2 gearboxes. You can choose either a 6-speed manual, which we are driving at the moment, and there's also the choice of a 6-speed automatic. Well, so Tata Motors has given this car a self-adjusting clutch, and very few cars come with that kind of a feature. And what that means is that the amount of effort as well as pressure that the clutch takes to be used right now will be exactly the same that it takes after maybe, say, a couple of years of 40 or 50,000 kilometers. So one of the biggest problems on most diesel cars, that of a heavy clutch when you pile on the miles, is gone and is negated on this one. And Tata Motors says they vouch for this feature because they have tested this car for over 8 lakh kilometers cumulatively, and they have come out with the same result, that the clutch has the same amount of effort even when it tends to get old. Now, Tata Motors has improved the gearbox as well along with the clutch on this car, but it's still a little notchy to operate, and the throws are very long, and it does need a heavy hand to shift and change gears. Well, in isolation, I am nitpicking right now because it is a decent gearbox to operate, but yes, when you consider the very, very soft clutch on this car, you would have expected a slightly better gearbox as well. Well, remember, because this is a 6-speed gearbox, what that 6th gear means on both the manual as well as the automatic transmission is the fact that it gives the engine a lot of flexibility. So if you are going to be driving a lot on the highway, all you need to do is just engage it in 6th gear, sit on the throttle at roughly about 16 or 1700 RPM, and the car is doing speeds of about 100 or 110 kph, which means that the cabin feels like a very quiet place to be in. Well, one area where Tata Motors really are the kings is in overall ride and comfort settings on the suspension. Now, when we are driving this car in the automatic mode or even the comfort mode, the suspension really does glide over all the worst of worst roads. It really has a very soft and cushiony ride, and it really does soak in the bumps very well. And that, along with the long wheelbase and the chunky tires, means that you have a car which offers you a very corsetting ride. Well, in terms of highway stability, this car is one of the best in the business at the moment. It really does offer you excellent stability when you're doing speeds of 100 or 110 kph. The other good point about the Hexa's overall ride comfort is the fact that even when you're doing slow city speeds, you don't really need to slow down on those rumble strips in the city, because, as I just mentioned, this car just glides over the worst of worst surfaces. Well, the good part about the Hexa is that the steering wheel is pretty light when you're driving it in the city, but when you take it out on the highway, it does tend to add a lot more weight into it and does not make you feel nervous. And it has a decent amount of feedback as well, considering that at the end of the day, it is a big and bulky SUV. While the engine does suffer from a little bit of turbo lag below 2000 RPM when you are driving it, remember, in comfort or auto mode, but if you change it on the setting over here and put it into dynamic mode, it does tend to become a little more alert to throttle inputs, and it does start responding from roughly about 18 or 1900 RPM. And even though that does not seem like a major difference, around 300 or 400 RPM, but in real world conditions, it does feel a lot more livelier, and it feels a little more sporty to drive and gets the sporty back in utility vehicle. Well, it's only towards the upper end of its rev band that the engine tends to become a little noisy, but if you are driving it in the city and usually keep it around 1500 or 3000 RPM, the cabin is more or less a relaxed place to be in, which means that insulation is pretty good and noise, vibration as well as harshness levels are well under control. Well, even though I won't go all out and say that this is a great car for keen drivers, it is a lot better than most other SUVs which tend to drive themselves and you're just sitting and pushing them along because you're not enjoying the ride. So in that sense, the Hexa is a lot better than most of its other rivals. The good point is that the steering wheel offers you a good amount of communication. It has a lot of feedback as well. But yes, because it is a big and bulky SUV, you can't run away from the fact that there is a lot of body roll when you push it into corners, and that does tend to eat away the fun element. Well, if you need a car which offers you 4x4 capabilities on a regular basis and also offers you the luxury of 6 or 7 seats to transport your entire family in, then there are few options as good as the Tata Hexa out there in the market. It comes with a lot of features, a very punchy diesel engine, and the choice of an automatic gearbox as well. And all that along with those SUV looks on the outside means that it is a very strong package in the market.